Thank you very much, Alana. Thank you everyone for coming and for showing that the Jewish people believe in free speech. Alana's remarks were quite good and quite informative. She mentioned Napoleon. Napoleon actually reconstituted the Sanhedrin, and there are photographs about, there's paintings and photographs about that. So, the Balfour Declaration, which is 100 years old, is greatly misunderstood, misquoted, misaligned, and maligned rather. And I'd like to explain a few things. It was far more than just an effort by Britain to give the Jews a homeland. Britain didn't have the ability to give the Jews a homeland. The international community did not have the ability to give the Jews a homeland. Only the Jews could give themselves a homeland. But it was done under the Herzlian notion that it would be done under international auspices, according to international law, and that's exactly what happened. Now, the Balfour Declaration itself, which is the most powerful diplomatic sentence in history, just 67 words, itself is an inert, non-binding document. But this inert, non-binding document has a great deal of power and became entrenched into international law. The recent idea that England could rescind the Balfour Declaration is of course impossible, since it's already been endorsed by 52 nations. So, first of all, I'd like to point out to you briefly what the Balfour Declaration is, and it's not. Everybody's got a copy of this. The Balfour Declaration is on its front. I've only got 4.5 minutes left, and I will be on time. It says here, first of all, the misunderstanding about the national home. It was a Jewish state. And the people who say national home meant no state don't know what they're talking about. And all the contemporaneous documentation says Jewish state. Second, the term national home was created by the Zionist organization itself, Nachum Sokolov, who found it as a way to protect the Jews and find a compromise, because many of the assimilated Jews, especially the American Jewish community, Mr. Montague in England, German Jews, etc., were afraid that they would be expelled, and it's actually addressed in the last sentence, that this will not compromise, prejudice the rights and political status enjoyed by Jews in any other country. So what was this document? This document was the embodiment of the complete Allied position, the complete international position, policy position on the national rights of Jews. And this process, this same process, if there's something wrong with this process, how is it that this process created Lebanon? This process created Syria. This process created Iraq. This process created Jordan with a memo in 1922, with a memo, not even with a vote. This same process virtually through a few tunnels created Saudi Arabia. And then, but for some reason this one tract of land for the Jews also is not to be included. Now, I've only got a minute, so I'm going to go through the international aspects of this. This has been debated, contradicted, and edited, and argued about for years, but the original Balfour-style declaration was on June 4th of 1917, issued by Jules Caban, which Alana knows. She's featuring it on her website, and I've stolen it. And Woodrow Wilson pre-approved every word of the Balfour Declaration before the cabinet adopted it, and that was in late October of 1917. So we know that on November 2nd we had the Balfour Declaration. It was announced, as Alana said, on the 9th. It wasn't in August that the Turks agreed to it. It was in December of 1917. Talat Pasha gave a half-hearted verification, endorsement of this. And on January 5th of 1918, Hilmar von dem Buschihadenhausen Hausen of German Foreign Ministry, not exactly a name that swings like Balfour. He also gave Germany's, these are both sides of the combatants' view that Jewish Zionist aspirations would be one of the national rights approved. The French, through Pichon, on February 18th of 1918, again reiterated their agreement for the Balfour Declaration. 1 minute left. Woodrow Wilson again approved it on August 31st. First, the Japanese ambassador, Shinde Sutemi, approved it in 1919. Faisal, on behalf of the Second Syrian Congress, in the presence of Lawrence of Arabia, in a lot. Let me see, I happen to have the document right here. And he actually cited in Article 3, we endorsed the Balfour Declaration of the 2nd of November, 1917, and in Article 4 specified Jewish immigration, settling Jewish immigration upon the land, intensive immigration, etc. These are public documents. And then, of course, everybody knows that this was actually cited and quoted in the San Remo Convention, Article 6, with a cross-reference to Article 4, which referred to the Zionist organization. And then, once again, the Treaty of Sevres on August 10th of 1920, Chapter 95, also signed by Faisal, specified the Balfour Declaration. It incorporated a joint congressional resolution just across the hall, September 21st of 1922, endorsed the text of the Balfour Declaration. And so we have an understanding here that the Balfour Declaration has now been endorsed by 52 nations and was merely Britain and its cabinet working in concert with all the other allies to express Jewish nationalism for the Jews, which they then cut down by 7% by creating Jordan with a memo, not even with a vote. But at the same time, they also created Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, Transjordan, Saudi Arabia, they elevated Egypt. If you want to know who messed up this whole idea of a peace in the Middle East for two states, because the Faisal Agreement makes specific reference to the Arab state and the Palestine state. It's France that booted out Faisal from the Arab Kingdom of Syria on 1920. I gotta go, bye.